I wanted to save money, so I started looking into a DIY divorce. It seemed simple enough, but then I heard about someone who couldn't finish the process and ended up spending even more money. How did that happen?
If a DIY divorce is supposed to save money, why do some people end up hiring an attorney anyway?
It happens more often than people realize.
This is general divorce information. Laws vary, so check with a legal professional in your area.
Laws vary, but smart strategies don't. This channel helps you avoid common mistakes and make better decisions during divorce. Today, in episode 4 of our divorce options series, we'll take a deeper look at DIY divorce. Just keep in mind, divorce options are where this conversation begins, not where it ends on this channel. A DIY divorce can save you thousands of dollars in attorney fees. But before you begin, ask yourself one important question. Is a DIY divorce the right choice for you? In just a few minutes, you'll learn how to answer that question. Discover some of the biggest mistakes people make before they even get started. Learn how to avoid unnecessary time, money, and frustration. And uncover an option that many people don't even know exists. One that could help protect your future without spending nearly as much as you might think. Let's look at 3 real situations that show some of the most common DIY divorce mistakes. Daniel and Laura. They didn't have children and assumed their divorce would be simple. Wanting to save money, they decided to handle everything themselves. Daniel and Sarah found a DIY divorce package online that promised an easy process. They thought all they had to do was fill out the forms and file them with the court. But they soon discovered there was much more to a DIY divorce than they expected.
What went wrong?
The forms they bought weren't accepted by their local court. DIY divorce forms aren't universal. You need to use the forms required by the court where you file your divorce.
How can people know if a form is accepted by their local court?
Check with the court where you'll file your divorce. Many courts provide their approved forms on their website or through the court clerk's office.
That's something I never would have thought about. So what's another mistake people often make?
Let's look at another real situation. Mike and Jennifer completed the correct court forms and filed them. Since they both agreed to the divorce, they thought they could skip one of the required steps. When they tried to move forward, they learned they couldn't. After correcting that problem, they discovered they still needed to provide additional required information before their case could continue.
What step did they miss?
They thought they could skip serving the divorce papers because they both agreed to the divorce. Later, they also learned they needed to provide additional required financial information before their case could move forward. Many people run into problems because they miss one of these required steps or don't follow their local court's procedures. That's why it's important to understand the entire process and check the requirements of the court where you'll file your divorce. In DIY Divorce, Part 2 video, we'll walk through the entire process step by step.
So even if you use the right forms and follow every required step, can you still run into problems?
Let's look at one more real situation. Chris and Laura agreed on how to divide their property. Since they both agreed, they believed the court would simply approve their settlement. However, when they filed their divorce, they learned the way they divided their assets needed to be revised before the court would approve their settlement.
Why? They both agreed.
Because even when both spouses agree, the settlement still has to meet your state's legal requirements before the court can approve the divorce.
That reminds me of someone I know. They reached their own settlement. One spouse would receive $30,000 and one vehicle, while the other would keep the house, the remaining savings, a motorcycle, another car, and all the furniture. Since they both agreed, everyone thought the court would simply approve it. But when they showed their settlement to an attorney before filing, he told them it might not meet their state's legal requirements.
That's why it's important not to assume that agreement alone is enough. Before filing a DIY divorce, make sure your settlement meets your state's legal requirements.
Wait, does choosing a DIY divorce mean you have to handle every single part of the divorce by yourself?
Actually, no. That's one of the biggest misconceptions about DIY divorce. Let's look at one option. Some people complete most of the paperwork themselves and then have a legal professional review it before filing. Others choose to consult their own attorney before signing the settlement agreement. An attorney isn't just reviewing paperwork. They can also explain your legal rights, help you understand the long-term consequences of your agreement, and identify potential problems before the divorce is finalized. That allows many people to receive professional guidance without paying for full legal representation throughout the entire divorce process. So, who is a good candidate for a DIY divorce? Both spouses generally agree on the major issues. They can communicate respectfully. They're willing to follow the court's requirements. Their case is relatively straightforward. They're comfortable handling the paperwork and process.
If you think a DIY divorce may be the right option for you, join us in the next episode, where we'll show you how to get started and walk through the process step by step.
When you understand the road ahead, you can guide your divorce in the direction that truly works for your life. And even if you hire a great attorney, you should still stay in the driver's seat, not the back seat where you can't see where things are headed. But you don't have to go through this alone. The right knowledge at the right time can change everything. Laws vary, but smart strategies don't. Divorce information. Always by your side.